Welcome to my channel. I'm the cover call guy, and this is my journey to creating a $120,000 per year passive income portfolio. My portfolio currently yields about $70,000, just about $6,000 per month, and I will be strictly using cover call ETFs to reach my goal. In the meantime, if you guys have any suggestions, I'm open-minded. Perhaps you introduce me to new stocks, or perhaps maybe I should do some research into real estate or gold or silver. Let me know. I'm open-minded to hearing everyone's ideas. I'm open to learning and doing some research on anything new. Before we get started, legal disclaimer: this content is for informational and educational purposes only and is not financial advice. I am not a licensed financial advisor or tax professional. All opinions are my own and may be incorrect. Trading and investing involve risk, including loss of principal. Please always do your own research and consult a licensed professional before making financial decisions. I am just some random idiot you found online, and I could be completely wrong. With that out the way, today's topic is going to be on a pretty popular movement. If you are in the investing community, right? You guys have heard of it. The FIRE movement, right? If you guys are new to investing, and if you guys googling investing for beginners, right? The FIRE movement would have popped up in big communities like Reddit. Some are on making YouTube videos about it. Like myself right now. But there are bigger YouTubers talking about it, and for the most part, the biggest community I know is on Reddit, and then somewhere on X. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's it. But the FIRE movement, right? We're gonna talk about the FIRE movement and how it can help you get out of your 9 to 5. Because if you're like me, you don't want to work your golden years, your golden age, right? You don't want to be working your prime years. Unless you do. There's nothing wrong with that too. There is nothing wrong with that too. Let me just get that out the way. There's nothing wrong with working until you're 65, 70, 75. If that's what you want. I am trying to retire as soon as possible, preferably before age 40. And I do it by the FIRE movement, right? The FIRE movement has helped me achieve a large chunk of my wealth. And using that wealth, I have, as you can tell, my journey to $120,000 per year. It has instilled a good investing habit. And I've pretty much, I don't think I will ever leave that habit. I really like it. It's has led me to a very comfortable lifestyle. Anyways, I digress. I don't want to be talking too much, as I will be presenting it in this video. And if you guys are new to investing, welcome to my channel. Subscribe, like, comment. Please follow me on my journey. You know, I'm just gonna be learning anything possibly new if you leave a comment on ETF or stock. So you know, I appreciate anyone who like and comment, good or bad. I'm open. I don't mind if you say, hey, this video sucked, right? I don't mind at all. Maybe you can help me improve. Anyways, let's talk about the FIRE movement, right? The FIRE movement of 2025, from aggressive austerity to sustainable income. What is FIRE? FIRE, which stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early, right? So it's a FIRE movement is a financial strategy centered on aggressive saving, frugal living, and strategic investing. The goal is to accumulate enough assets to enable retirement decades earlier than traditional age, right? So like I said before, this is my journey to $120,000 per year, about $10,000 per month. I am trying to reach that goal as soon as possible, because then that would make work a want, not a need. I want to work. I don't want to need to work, right? That is stressful to me, right? I don't want to be waking up on crazy early hours, or working to crazy late hours, or getting a call to come in on the weekends, right? I want to spend my time doing what I like. I want to spend my time with my friends and family whenever I like, on my time, right? I don't want an alarm clock. And some people do, which is not, again, nothing wrong with that, right? Some people like working. Some people live to work, right? I want to work so I can live. All right, the core philosophies of the FIRE movement, right? One, like I mentioned, extreme frugality, right? You only intentionally spend on needs and high value things, right? High value things to maximize savings, right? And then of course high savings rate, the cornerstone of FIRE. You inherently aim to save 50 to 75% or more of your post-tax income. And then of course strategic income investing, right? You want to funnel that saving into assets that produce cash flow, like cover call ETFs, like what I'm doing, right? So I'm using my cash to buy cash to make more cash, and then more cash to buy cash to make more cash, and so on and so forth, right? That's the whole point. And then that compounding gets like the snowball. It gets big, it gets extremely huge, and then it becomes an unstoppable force. That snowball is too big to stop even when I wanted to, right? I want to have enough. I want to have so much money I can't spend it all, right? And of course define enough, right? Prioritizing time and autonomy over consumerism, and one more year of work. Disgusting. I don't want to work. All right, the key numbers, right? 25x, what is that? That's the FIRE number, right? This target, the target portfolio size of 25 times your annual expenses based on the 4% rule, and 50% plus. What is that? That's a target savings rate of post-tax income. This is the engine that makes FIRE possible. Again, these are generalizations. These are not hard facts on the books for FIRE movement. These are just what you should be aiming for, right? Not everybody can aim for 50% of saving your paycheck, right? Now, if you're lucky enough, of course, great. If you're lucky enough to save 100% of your paycheck, of course, even better. All right, the evolution of FIRE. FIRE is not obsolete, but it is ever evolving. Traditional strategies are being stress tested by new economic realities, forcing the movement to adapt and create new paths. All right, so the pros and cons of FIRE, right? The pros of FIRE movement: more freedom, flexibility, and time for passion. Reduce work-related stress and anxiety. Oh, that's a huge one. Potential for early adventure and personal growth. I want to travel the world. Greater financial security and resilient to shocks, right? Even the market tanks or things get more expensive, my income is there. I've already built such a solid foundation that I don't have to worry about any of these stuff. Oh man, what is the cons of FIRE movement? Of course, there's a pro and a con, right? What are the cons? The con of FIRE movement that is requires restrictive budgeting and extreme discipline. Discipline and consistency, right? That goes hand in hand. It has the risk of market volatility and unreliable returns. That's just short for SORR. Major healthcare gaps and high costs before Medicare, and potential for social isolation or loss of purpose. Of course, the Medicare is a huge one, right? That's why you should be aiming and maximizing your savings and investing, making sure your monthly income is above the target of your goal, right? You always want to have that buffer, because as you know, healthcare is tied to your employer, right? If you're not working, you have no health insurance, then you have to go to the marketplace, because you're not, I believe Medicare is what, 62, 63, or whatever age they raised it now, 65. So then you're not eligible. And of course, the potential for social isolation, right? There's the quote saying that on the path to greatness is always lonely, right? You're on the path to greatness. You're on the path to financial freedom. Not a lot of people are willing to give up that extra Starbucks. You know, they have to have their Starbucks once a day, right? Perhaps you can make your own coffee at home, and that would substantially increase your saving, right? Not a lot of people want to, give that up, right? Maybe you drive that older car and keep it. Not a lot of people want to do that. They want a new Beamer. They want a new Lexus, Mercedes. So then you end up, kind of diverting from that friend group you have. Modern FIRE challenges, right? High inflation erodes purchasing power and fixed income returns, making savings harder, right? In this environment, it seems like the price keeps going up and up and up. Soaring costs, right? Housing, property insurance, and educational costs are rising faster than general inflation. Healthcare, a major non-discretionary expense that rises significantly for early retirees before Medicare, right? That's probably one of the biggest ones, and that's one of the biggest ones you have to account for. So always over budget your goal. That's my recommendation. My minimum is $120,000 a year. Of course, I should aim higher, maybe at least 150, or even closer to $200,000 a year. Market volatility challenges the safe assumption of the 4% rule and increase SORR. All right, there's different types of flavors of FIRE, right? There's the lean FIRE, retiring on a minimal budget of 40K a year, requires extreme frugality, right? So this is the really, really basic people that 100% they're single. As soon as they get $40,000 a year, they're going off into somewhere really, really cheap, most likely a developing or third world country where they can survive and live like a king on $40,000 a year. Then there's fat FIRE, right? Retiring on a large portfolio, at least 100K a year, allows for comfortable lifestyle, which is where I'm at. I want that fat FIRE, right? I want to be able to stay where I'm at in the United States and actually live pretty well in the United States. And if it doesn't work out, then I can move out, but still have more than $100,000 a year, and that would allow me to really live like royalty. And then we have Barista FIRE, right? It's a hybrid model. It's retiring from a main career but working part-time for benefits like health insurance. So that is the I want to work, right? Not because I need to work. I want to work just for health insurance, part-time, it's whatever. I don't really care if I lose the job. I'll just do something else again, right? And there's the Coast FIRE, saving enough early that portfolio can coast to a full retirement by 65 without new contributions. The 4% rule under pressure, right? So again, like I mentioned, the 4% rule was the bedrock of FIRE planning. It suggests an it suggested an inherit could safely withdraw 4% of their initial portfolio adjusted for inflation each year. Today, this rule is under intense scrutiny. Why? Because inflation is crazy, right? You might need to withdraw more than 4%. And what happens then? Right? You're assuming your portfolio grows, but what if it doesn't? All right, the safe withdrawal rate, SWR for short, the safe withdrawal rate debate. The old rule was the 4% rule based on a 30-year retirement as defined and made in the 1990s, right? The 1998 Trinity study. The new reality is that the FIRE retirement can last 50 to 60 plus years, a timeline for which the 4% rule was never tested, right? We are trying to retire much earlier. All right, modern risk is the high inflation and lower expected market returns have made the 4% rate much riskier, right? The new number, most financial planners are now recommend a conservative 3.3 to 3.5 for a safe withdrawal rate for long retirements. And then that might not even work. So the new number is if you can even survive on that, if you need to go to a different country to survive on that. So a lot of things to consider. All right, the number one threat is the SORR. All right, number one, retire into a bear market. An individual retires with $1 million. The market immediately dropped 30%. Right, the portfolio is now step two is withdrawing down draws, and then the portfolio is now at 700,000, but they still withdraw $40,000 a year, 5.7 of the new total, forcing a sale of assets at a low price. And then that leads to three, which is a high risk of failure. Selling assets at a loss permanently cripples the portfolio and it may never recover. All right, the new strategy, income-focused FIRE. And this is where I am trying to test this new income-focused FIRE, right? That's someone like me, right? This is to combat the SORR and inflation. Many are shifting from a withdrawal strategy, selling the assets, to an income strategy, living off the cash flow. This avoids selling assets at a loss. The rise of income, right? Real estate, rental properties provide a stable inflation hedge monthly income. Side hustles, a hobby business, or part-time work provides a flexible income buffer and a sense of purpose. Like kind of what I'm doing right now with YouTube. I hope enough people subscribe, like, comment, and follow me in my journey. I do want to be monetized someday. So anybody watching, I hope you guys enjoy my video. I hope I'm making great educational video. So hopefully this works out. And then income ETFs, right? Funds designed to pay high monthly distribution, such as covered call ETFs, like myself. And, since I got 2 out of the 3, when I reach my goal of income ETFs, I might go into real estate. Who knows? How do covered call ETF works? Of course, I have this out for anybody who's new and watching the video. Welcome. As you know, I'm a covered call ETF investor, right? So we buy the stock, the ETF buys a basket of stocks. Example, NASDAQ 100, right? Then the ETF sell call options. It sells a contract, a call option, giving someone right to buy the stock at a set price. Then 3, collects the premium, which is the cash, right? In exchange for selling the contract, the ETF gets paid an upfront fee called a premium. And then that premium gets distributed to you, the income. This premium is packaged and paid out to investors as a high monthly distribution. The income, the trade-off. Of course, there is no free lunch, right? In exchange for the high monthly income, the ETF caps its upside potential. Of course, in quote, caps, because it depends on each covered call ETF. Not all covered call ETF are the same. Every covered call ETF has a different strategy behind it, right? If the stock, what he means by cap is if the stock rises sharply, the ETF doesn't capture all those gains. It must sell the stock at an agreed upon option price. This makes it ideal for generating income in retirement, but less ideal for building wealth during accumulation phase. All right, then we do some deep dive into some modern covered call ETF strategies. One of the best ones that I love is called DIVO from Amplified CWP, right? Their strategy is an active hybrid fund. It holds 20 to 25 blue chip dividend growing stocks and selectively write calls on them, right? Implication of this is that it aims for the best of both worlds, a growing dividend stream plus extra income from option premiums. Then we have SPY, one of the best and greatest from NEOS. It does the SP 500. Their strategy is very tax efficient fund. It writes out of the money calls, which allows the stock to rise some before the upside is capped. The implication of this strategy sacrifices some income for more growth potential and offer significant tax advantages on what it distributes. The covered call ETF spectrum, right? Each ETF is not the same. Each has different strategy and their workarounds. For one is for a few, and some covered call ETFs, they use the passive index writing. What does that mean? They write options on an entire index, QYLD, XYLD, for example, prioritize the highest possible income. Trade-off is high NAV decay. All right, then there's the active hybrids, blend stocks and options, right? Some hold stocks for growth, like DIVO, or use tax-efficient notes. JEPI and SPY for income, aim for growth and income. Then there's synthetic single stocks, right? They use derivatives to simulate covered calls, often on single stocks, such as the Yield Max fund, or leverage, such as REX. Very high yield, but also very high risk. So it just depends what type of covered call investor and income investor you are. All right, let's compare a few ETF strategies, right? We have DIVO from Amplified. They write active, they're actively managed and they do stock writing. Their key trait is dividend growth plus income. And then we already talked about the others, but let's talk about TSY. Their fund provider is Yield Max. They do synthetic single stocks. Key trait is that it's very high yield but very high risk. All right, guys, just pause this video. I already went over this. If you guys want to see, it's just a graph. A FIRE core satellite ETF strategy. What does this mean, right? This means that this approaches balances growth-oriented CC ETF with pure income covered call ETFs. The core 60-70% is growth plus income engine, holds hybrid CC ETFs like DIVO or SPY to capture market growth and provide some income. All right, and then there's the satellite, right? The pure income engines hold index writing ETFs like XYLD, or if you want to do it in the crypto, BTCI, to provide maximum monthly cash flow for expenses. The result, The investor lives off the satellite income and use the core for inflation hedge growth, creating a resilient all ETF income stream. Key questions answered, right? So what does this all mean? Here are some key takeaways from the 2025 FIRE movement that I've gathered and put together. Right, the key takeaways. Is the 4% rule reliable? I would say, in my opinion, no. It is quite too risky, right? The 3.3 to 3.5 rate is the new baseline for normal inflation. A true 10 plus inflation spike would break any fixed withdrawal model, right? If you believe the Fed's inflation rate, if you believe what the Trump administration is putting out, you will probably get screwed on that 4%, because I don't think inflation is 4%, is what they're saying at 3 to 4%. Just do a little shopping with your groceries, right? It's not been the same. How do healthcare costs impact FIRE, right? This is, I would say, that one of the primary risks, one of the top priorities you guys have to figure out. Many solve it with barista FIRE for benefits or by managing their income, right? To qualify for ACA subsidies. That's just the marketplace health insurance. And then what are ACA guidelines? For 2025, subsidies are available for individual with a income between $15K to $60,000. Double check me on that. I could be wrong. Is 100% of your FPL is, I believe, I could be wrong on this. FPL is federal poverty guidelines or levels. So just double check me on that. My income could be off. What is the ACA hack? Some ETFs like XYLD or any ETFs that pay return of capital, which does not count as income, allowing investors to get subsidies even with a large portfolio, right? That is what I'm trying to do with my portfolio. I may make $120,000 on paper, right? But when it comes time for tax, I made nothing. So I qualify. All right, key takeaway part 2. How do cover calls ETF fit in? Right, they are a tool to generate income in retirement. This help avoids SORR by providing cash flow. That might be a typo, but so I don't have to sell assets on the low. What are the risks of CC ETFs, right? The main trade-off is capped upside. Investors get income today in exchanging for sacrificing future growth, right? We will never outgrow the growth ETFs. That's not what we're here for. We're here for the money, right? What is the best cover call ETF strategy? In my opinion, right, a hybrid core, satellite profile, balancing hybrid funds. These are just example, not recommendations, not financial advice. I just put it out there because it makes sense for this presentation, such as DIVO or SPY or XYLD is an efficient, resilient strategy. Thank you guys. Like, comment, subscribe, right? This presentation is for informational purposes only and does not constitute financial advice. I hope you guys learned something about the FIRE movement. I am currently doing the FIRE movement myself. I am trying to aggressively put as much money into my portfolio, into my income stocks, and hopefully I will reach my $120,000 per year. It's November 2025. Hopefully I reach it before 2026 ends, or when 2026 ends, going into 2027, I would have reached my goal. By 2027, I would look into what I would want to invest in, and any new cover call ETFs that you guys suggest and comment. I'll take a look at. But thank you for watching my video. I appreciate all the support, and stay tuned. Catch you guys on the next.